So I mean, I guess the newest buzzword is Sweet Baby Inc. or DEI or whatever.
No.
They're definitely going hard on it. GamerGate 2, that's the newest buzzword.
Yeah. So Sweet Baby Inc., in case people are wondering, is a company that takes over other companies and controls every aspect of the video games. Right?
Yeah,
That's how consulting
it's
firms
just
work.
imagine a video game company. They're working on a video game, and then just like their fucking doors kicked in, right?
Yeah.
And this fucking big, huge, I guess probably lesbians or something, just like Jack Butch lesbians come in and they're like, "Give us the script, we're gonna read it." And they're like, "Okay," and they hand it to them, and they're like, "Oh, what is this? You know, this is
There's not enough black people.
it's not enough black people.
Where's the gays?
You don't have any gay, just one gay in this game."
And it's crazy how, like, I mean, this is the same thing with everyone, right? Or with all of this content we talk to, or we talk about. Like it's the same with like people calling TV shows woke, right? It's like, oh, if something is woke, then it's bad. When in reality, it's like some things that they view as woke are bad, and then some things they view as woke are actually really good. It's the same thing here, right? Like I've been seeing a lot of quite like revisionism around this whole Sweet Baby Inc. thing. Like they worked on games like God of War Ragnarok, which was incredibly well received. It's an incredible game.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, but now like I've seen people go back now and say like, oh, God of War Ragnarok was shit and it was woke, and it's like, what the fuck, man? And like they've worked on like Spider-Man 2, which came out. They also worked on Alan Wake 2, which I've also seen people now who haven't even played the game saying like, oh, this is just cheap wokeness and stuff. That game is fucking incredible. It has an insane story. It makes leaps and bounds within gaming, and it like won Game Awards for best narrative and shit. Like people are just trying to make up shit up to be angry about here.
Hey guys, I need you to do me a favor. Help me fight the algorithm. Go ahead and hit like, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon for new notifications. Thank you. Oh, you know what? Critical Drinker has a Sweet Baby Grift video up at 1.1 million already, and it's almost certainly going to be the most popular. So let's go ahead and see what valuable insight he brings to the table.
Financial crises, studio interference, corporate bloat, mass layoffs, substandard writing, embarrassing visuals, the destruction of legacy characters and franchises.
Okay, I mean, already he's just opening with, like, I feel like Chud Grift 101. I mean, I feel like those are all, like, in arguments. I just hear them so goddamn much anymore. It's so fucking redundant, and it's so untrue. Destruction of legacy characters, and he's showing a picture of Batman getting killed. Mind you, in a game called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Literally, I've heard really bad things about that game. I've heard it's quite bad. Like, nobody likes that game, pretty much. But when the game is called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I would kind of assume it's an Elseworld story, where there's a good chance the Justice League might die. Because, yeah. You know, and again, like, if his example of destroying a legacy character is an Elseworld story where a hero dies, yeah, like, Elseworld stories kill off the heroes quite a bit. What ifs kill off heroes quite a bit. That's part of the fun of that franchise. You can do whatever you want in that universe, and no repercussions because it's not the mainline universe. So it's so insane. And then going back a bit further here, he brings up the ugly visuals consistently. Like I'm not sure what game this is. I know they bring it up a lot. Consistently, this is almost always a screenshot grabbed out of context. Just we can find a cringe screenshot and we'll share it all around. It is insanely dumb. Insanely dumb. It's insanely dishonest. It's just cherry-picking nonsense. And then, like, studio bloat and layoffs. Okay. True. There are lots of layoffs in the video game industry. Probably, I'm going to guess his argument is that because they're woke or something. But the fact is, they're not unionized. So what happens is they'll hire a whole bunch of computer guys to work on these big, expensive games, and then they'll work them to the bone, and then once the game is out, they will fire them, and then maybe rehire them for another game if they need to. But like that's how this business works. And until they unionize and start securing their jobs, that's going to be continued how it works. But of course, I'm sure he's going to say they're laid off because of wokeness or some shit, which is bullshit. But anyways, yeah, just opening up. We got like 15 seconds into this, and I felt the need to debunk just so much. Honestly, Critical Drinker, it's kind of impressive how much bullshit you packed into the beginning of this. Well done, my man. Well done.
And franchises, and an unhealthy focus on the message.
The message. Oh, you can't have the message. The idea that like, oh my god, the horror of this thing. Like, all the women and men and social justice and gender equality and diversity. We can't have that. Oh, that's awful. Oh. That's right, Head Talker. He said the line. He said it. Boom. I'm surprised the video's still on. He just said the line. He's done. Go home, Critical Drinker. You said the line.
A message. Now, you might think I'm talking about the self-inflicted problems facing modern-day Hollywood, but you'd be wrong, mister, because today I'm going to be talking about the video game industry and the crisis that's rapidly unfolding in it.
Well, I mean, this is part of how you know that Critical Drinker is kind of just a grifter, too. Because his expertise is literally just movies. If you want to call it expertise, I should probably put that in quotations, because his movie knowledge is sketchy at best. But still, like, if this were a big movie topic, I'd be okay. But he released this video, and when we were doing research into this topic, we saw a whole bunch of chuds releasing stuff about Sweet Baby Inc. And literally nothing from any established news source. No establishment news sources, no lefty news sources. Nobody's talked about Sweet Baby Inc. Literally, only people talked about Sweet Baby Inc. were essentially John F. Trent had done an article about it. John Della Rose had done an article about it. And these guys are just pure Nazi chuds at this point. And then all of a sudden we got, the chud... Human Centipede, where all the chud YouTubers started doing articles about Sweet Baby Inc. And Critical Drinker was one of them. So all of a sudden, he's doing a video about video games, even though he doesn't really talk about video games, about the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff, during a time when only chuds are making up shit about it, essentially. Pure grifter. Pure grifter. Because, I mean, he's going to do it, and he's going to get more views than anybody else. Easy. He's Critical fucking Drinker. He's got 2 million subs. He'll get the views. It's ridiculous.
But first, allow me to paint you a picture, dear viewer. Imagine for a moment that you're a major games developer, and due to years of corporate mismanagement and substandard hiring practices that prioritize diversity and inclusion over actual talent and create...
Okay, Critical Drinker, you want to know how they can fight up? This is something that in Ohio I know about. There is essentially, like, if you're not essentially a white man, there are protections to help you defend your job. That's just a fact. There are laws to help protect your job. If you're a white man, you don't actually have those protections unless, you ready for this? You're in a union. So, Critical Drinker, you're actually making a pro-union argument right now. Something tells me you don't really support the unions, but making a good pro-union argument. Good work, Critical Drinker. Good work, Will Jordan.
Ability, your studio is now bloated with excessive numbers.
I also want to stress, part of the reason why there are legal protections for people who aren't white men is because jobs for people who aren't white men, get fired a lot more often. So there had to be legal protections to help protect it. So I'm not saying, oh, pity me. Well, number one, I'm union, so I'm not even concerned about it. But the reason why there are laws like that is because there had to be laws like that, essentially.
of talentless idiots who all say the right things on social media but contribute nothing of value to your business. Now, you could do something crazy like start laying people off and tightening up your operation so that it's more financially efficient. Maybe even bring in some talented people who know what they're doing.
Okay, so that is a pro-corporate argument. Go ahead and fire some people and fuck them. You're literally talking about, cut off some of the slack. You're literally talking about destroying people's livelihoods, Critical Drinker. Just throwing it out there, bro.
But no, the better solution here is clearly some of that sweet, sweet ESG money that can tide you over until you can shart out the next buggy, overpriced, unfinished, barely playable piece of crap that's going to force players to use endless microtransactions and expensive DLC just to keep up with. I love the gaming industry today. But wait, there's a problem. All those big financial investment companies will only lend you their money if you can prove that you're good little boys and girls whose games correctly push the
No, that's not how it works at all. You can work with any financial firm, really. They're not going to say no to you just because you're an anti-woke. However, if you submit an ESG report, it will give you an alternate source of funding. You don't have to do that. ESG is an optional thing that companies can choose to do, and it is it's an optional thing they can do. But essentially, it's essentially a form where, like, if somebody wants to invest money, but they want to invest money in something where the company is being diverse, it's not like just hiring white men and being bigots. They can look at an ESG report and see, and essentially see that that's not happening. Companies frequently just cherry pick the shit for their ESG report, so it doesn't really matter, and frankly, it doesn't really affect the overall products or videos or art they produce. It's just corporate lingo for whatever, and chuds like Critical Drinker like to make a big deal of it. Anyways, after all that, let's keep on going.
Message. So what to do? Well, in this case, you hire an outside consultancy firm to advise you on how to make your upcoming game more compliant. Let's call them, Honeyed Infant Incorporated. Now, on paper at least, they sound like a pretty good prospect. A small but very specialised consultancy group that can come in and work closely with your dev teams to break down and analyse the story and design of new video games and advise on how to make them more emotionally resonant, holistically inclusive, quintessentially effervescent, and other meaningless word salad buzz phrases that nobody understands. But man, they
Well, I mean, you got kind of silly with the words at the end, but yeah, make them more inclusive, make them, make sure the representation is meaningful representation, stuff like that. That's not a bad thing.
sure sound impressive. And even if you don't really understand what they do or why they're so expensive, you can at least say that you've worked with them and proven your loyalty to the message. So
I mean, do people ask these companies where or not they work with Sweet Baby Inc.? That seems like a weird thing to ask. I never even heard of them until these chuds blew up about them, so that seems unlikely.
So now all that wonderful ESG money can start flowing into your bank accounts. What you don't...
Wonderful ESG money. They get some investors for their ESG reports, but like I said, they have enough diversity kind of baked into the system because artists like to be fairly diverse and like diversity. They have enough frequently baked into the system that they can cherry pick shit. They don't have to really force it at all. You chuds act like they have to, but they really don't. And that is sometimes the issue. Sometimes an artist will want to do like some diversity or something like that, but they won't have the life experience. They'll just want to do it just to be inclusive when, essentially their heart's in the right place. But, it will come off shallow, and that is an issue, and that's why they would hire someone like Sweet Baby Inc. to help them make sure they're doing it right, because that was part of how Sweet Baby Inc. operates. They, I think it's even, we went over on the initiative, like, there are times where, like, Sweet Baby Inc. even like told them to kind of tone back on like the wokeness or the inclusiveness and stuff like that, because it really wasn't being done right, and it's better not to do it than not do it right from their perspective. So yeah.
What I realised at the time, though, is that Honeyed Infant is a company staffed almost exclusively by hardcore political activists who either couldn't make it as actual game developers or never particularly cared about video games in the first place.
Well, number one, couldn't make it as game developers. That seems like a weird argument. Do you have a source? Maybe. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's so much shit going on with the video game industry. It's possible this is just a whole lot of gamers who worked on projects and got fired, and this is like their in between jobs and stuff like that. So, the idea that these are somehow less than capable people is something he's just throwing in there for his audience, essentially. He has no evidence to back that up. And yeah, what was his other point? He jam-packs this shit. I will give him credit for that.
So game developers or never particularly cared about video games in the first place.
If they didn't care about video games, I don't know why they'd be part of this consultant firm. Like, how do you even get a job at a video game consulting firm if you don't care about video games? You'd at least have some interest. It's weird.
Have nothing even resembling creative imagination, and instead saw an opportunity to grift their way into an industry that never needed them.
Critical drinker, you'd know about grifting, wouldn't you? You would know about that.
In the first place. Kind of like 100 years ago when people like...
For fuck's sake! Anita Sarkeesian is so far beyond, like, relevant, it's ridiculous. Nobody cares. You chuds just use her picture whenever you want to grift. It doesn't... Listen, I don't agree 100% with the type of thing Nita Sarkeesian said, but the shit she got was entirely over the top. Like, if some of her investors want to be upset that, like, she took a lot of money and, like, produced iffy videos, yeah, okay, be upset. But, like, there's way more than just her investors. Essentially, the entire Chud community is just enraged by this woman. And she hasn't been relevant for at least 5 years now. At least. And frankly, she got way more hate than she ever had coming to her. Way more. It was ridiculous.
Like Anita Sarkeesian were vaguely relevant for about 15 minutes and used their infamy to blackmail their way into major game studios. Nice dev team you've got there. Be a shame if someone was to spread rumours on social media that you don't care about representation and diversity. I guess you'd better hire someone like me to make sure that doesn't happen, eh? I mean, damn man, Neil Druckmann was so eager to impress her that he basically forced out the actual talented woman who'd been running the Uncharted series so that he could take over for himself. Like, everyone...
Okay, I have no idea what that story is, but I suspect he is lying, because that's pretty much what their MO is.
Wondered why a seasoned adventurer like Nathan Drake was suddenly getting his ass handed to him by this random muscle-bound arsehole who showed up out of nowhere and was inexplicably stronger and better than him at everything. There you go.
It's just another character, and it is possible that a woman can be stronger than a man. I find it strange that you guys get so offended at that possibility.
Oh, ever wondered why Last of Us Part 2 embraced the Disney approach to storytelling?
Let's put a ticket in and make her name it gay!
Ellie.
So Ellie is gay in The Last of Us, and I don't know why you guys care so goddamn much. And again, we're actually kind of stuck on Neil Druckmann games right now. Do we want to evolve to something else? Like, it's one dude, and you know you're going to have issues with this one dude, but you keep on focusing on him. It's like, you don't like his work. Don't fucking play it.
He's gay, by the way. Ever wondered why it retconned the hero of the first game into a dumb, gullible, spineless sap who walks into ambushes that he never would have fallen for before, and stands there like a fucking goldfish while his adopted daughter screams and berates him for the crime of saving her life, completely ignoring the impossible position he'd been put in, and the slim chance of success even if he'd given her up? Or why the intro...
Yeah, you're cutting out a lot of context, because, essentially that was a situation where, she was, like, essentially her death could result in saving the world. But the problem is, it was her death, and he refused to let her die. So he saved her. So it's a morally very questionable decision by him. And there's a whole bunch of, like, nuance to it. Joel is a character who has done very seedy fucking things. Now, he did them for what he perceived was the right reason. But it was seedy stuff. The idea that other characters would be, like, offended by some of the stuff he does isn't out of the question. At all. This idea that these characters have to view everything from black and white perspectives is absolutely weird, and frankly, really fucking boring storytelling. If you want to tell an effective story, what you have is you have characters with nuances, characters with disagreements. You know, you don't write bad characters, you write interesting characters, but characters who have strong opinions, who might not always agree on fucking everything. That's just basic fucking writing. You should know that, Will Jordan. Your fans keep on telling me you're a best-selling author.
Intro feels the need to work in the subtle as a sledgehammer social pandering.
What you got there?
Bigot sandwiches.
Smells good.
Or the blatant sacrifice of...
Well, I don't know the context behind that. That was obviously a joke. It was a joke. You guys are such fucking snowflakes, I swear to God. And the fact that you are offended at bigot sandwiches, it's kind of a tell, don't you think?
morality and common sense in favour of my themes, or this big old slab of beef that we're somehow supposed to identify with. There you go. Anyway, I digress. The thing is, Honeyed Infant now have carte blanche to come in and rewrite your new game in any way they see fit, because their word is basically law now. And
No, they're a consultant firm. Their word is not God. Now, if it's a thing where like the employer is going to say, hey, do what they say or else you're fired, then your issue would be with the employer. And again, this is another example, and all this shit gets resolved if the computer programmers for these games get fucking unionized. All of it gets resolved.
Because all they really care about is making themselves feel better by lecturing the rest of the world about social and political issues that specifically matter to them, they begin to make changes. Lots of changes. Got a legacy straight white male hero that's been hugely popular and the mainstay of your franchise for years? Well, clearly he needs to go in favour of someone more diverse and worthy, who we're going to take every possible...
God, they are so offended at the idea of Peter retiring at the end of the second game, ignoring the fact that, like, Peter retiring is such a cliche in the fucking comic book. Like, but yeah, somehow him retiring this one time means that we'll never see him again. Do you not know your Spider-Man history or lore? Like, the premise of the second fucking Spider-Man movie was him fucking retiring. It's so overdone. But you're acting like, oh, he's gone in the next game and it'll just be Miles. Number one, they actually did do a mostly just Miles game, and it was largely, like, I actually haven't played it, but, like, to my understanding, it was pretty good. My son loved it. He likes the original better, but he thought the Miles one was really good as well. So, like, they can 100% do that, but, like, the idea that you think Peter's story is over just shows how little you know about Spider-Man. Of course, it's not that I think Critical Drinker knows little about Spider-Man, although I don't think he knows that much. It's the fact that, he has to pitch this to his audience. They have to sell this narrative to his audience that, like, they're suppressing Peter Parker for Miles, when it's obviously not what's going on. They're just setting up Peter for his own story. Well, not necessarily his own story, but for a story where he's retired, but obviously he's going to come out of retirement and save the day, because that's what always happens. Peter can't stay in retirement. That's a running gag, almost.
Opportunity to remind the audience is better than straight white male hero in every possible way. But how exactly to...
When have they said that Miles is better than Peter in every possible way? Again, like, these guys get so offended at, like, just Miles being capable and possibly being somewhat as popular as Peter, because there's lots of people who like Miles, and Miles is their favorite Spider-Man, and yet somehow that's not like an offense to Peter, though. I cannot stress that enough. That's Peter is a fantastic character, and if it wasn't for Peter's legacy, Miles wouldn't have anything to follow up with. So being offended at Miles being popular seems really fucking weird and insecure.
To get rid of him, well, let's just say he's gone off to find himself because he got sad or something, you know.
Yeah, like every 2 weeks in the Spider-Man universe. Yes, we know.
Whatever, as long as he's out of the picture, that's all that really matters. Got a whole bunch of...
He's not gonna be out of the picture, mark my words, he'll be back.
Straight white male heroes to take care of? What the hell, let's just kill them all in the most ignominious and disrespectful way possible, and...
There's so many critiques I've heard of this game. Critiquing the fact that they kill the Justice League in a game called Kill the Justice League seems kind of fucking weak sauce to me.
And turn their deaths into a big old joke. Because truly, nothing's funnier than seeing iconic characters get murdered and then literally pissed on. But oh wait, one of the heroes is a woman. Well, that's a completely different story, don't you know? Honeyed Infant will make sure that her death is a solemn, poignant and heroic sacrifice. Because as we all know, death's only funny when it happens to men. And of course...
Again... it makes sense. I don't know the storyline, actually. But yeah, okay, so, like, she isn't giving a humiliating death. Do we want, really, like, just from basic societal standpoint, like, giving Wonder Woman a humiliating death seems really kind of weird? And yeah, and if you want to be honest, yeah, giving characters like Flash or Batman a bit more of a humiliating death makes sense, because, honestly, they're white men. White men traditionally have the power in this country, so traditionally they can get mocked a bit more. That's just how society works. Now, if we could actually get to a society where we're all equal, then we all get mocked equally. But Critical Drinker is so offended at the idea that white men might possibly lose, well, it's not even lose any power. It's that we might have to share power with other genders and minorities. Like, he's so offended that possibility. No, we can't do it. White men always have to be on top. It's like, I don't know, grow a pair, evolve, do better.
They'll be sure to pepper in random changes to the sexuality of established characters that have got no bearing on the story or their development as people.
It's an Elseworld story. It is literally an Elseworld story. They can do whatever the fuck they want. That's the fun of an Elseworld story. For fuck's sake. Holy shit.
But that doesn't particularly matter because they say so. Got a bunch of attractive female characters in your game that appeal to your mostly male fan base? Not on their watch. If the women in...
they love to share these pictures. So, like, again, this is an example. Like, I already went through it. Go back and watch my old videos. The Mary Jane thing is so dumb because they grab this one screenshot and say, hey, doesn't this look like this one woman who worked on the development team? In this one screenshot? Okay, maybe, sure. But if you actually watch the in-game of Mary Jane, she looks pretty much like she did in the first game. She looks a bit more detailed. That's about it. And because there's a bit more detail, you can maybe pick out some more screenshots where she's not, where she looks just more normal. Because I want to stress, this isn't, like, unattractive at all. It's just more, like, human and normal. Yeah, if you actually play through it, she looks pretty much like Mary Jane from the first game. But nope, here's a screenshot, just like they always do. Oh, a screenshot from this video game. Oh, they're making women ugly because this one screenshot looks ugly. It's like, grow the fuck up, man. Grow up.
In your game don't look like they've taken a couple of dozen bee stings to the face and gone into anaphylactic shock.
No, she doesn't look like that. My god, what the fuck is your standard of beauty, Critical Drinker? Holy shit.
Then you clearly need to re-examine your internal biases.
What the fuck is that?
Because as we all know, the reason that people like Sydney Sweeney are so popular right now is that we're all fascinated by her geopolitical takes on the current military situation in Ukraine.
Ha ha ha, get it? It's her tits. Although I do think that's an interesting confession. Essentially, they're admitting that they only care about Sydney Sweeney because of her tits. That's it. Very interesting confession there. Maybe that's why most women are leftist, Critical Drinker. Because if the right wing just wants to focus on their tits all the time, maybe they would like to talk to somebody who would like to, I don't know, talk to them, get to know them. You know, it's the little things in life.
Man, it must be so satisfying as a developer to have spent months or even years carefully crafting every detail of the story and characters in your game, and then have experts like Honeyed Infant come in and completely rework it right under your nose. And what's...
Did they? Did they? What, like, again, like, this is primarily a story coming entirely from Chud sources, but, like, so, like, can you give examples of stuff that they've done specifically? Like, stuff where they broke down the door and told the game company, you have to do this or else. Can you give examples? Because right now you're just whining because a consultant firm exists and has worked on some popular games. And I feel like you're able to get some traction because they worked on Kill the Justice League, which pretty much most people didn't like across the board. You're able to say, oh, Sweet Baby Inc. And it's like, Sweet Baby Inc. also worked on Spider-Man 2, which you showed clips from, which was pretty universally loved, except by Chuds. Everybody who played it loved it, for the most part. God of War Ragnarok, which was fairly universally loved. I know there's a couple other games I'm not as familiar with, but apparently Turf was saying that they're considered quite good as well. But you got one. You got Kill the Justice League. One game they worked on that is not universally loved. Cool.
What's even better is that you're not allowed to complain nor object to any of it because you don't want to be the one guy in the room who goes against the message.
Well, again, Critical Drinker, what is the problem with the message? Literally, what is the problem with it? Please explain to me what your issue is with it. And I know, like, most of the time, the response I get from your fans, because, you know, God forbid you actually talk to me, the response I get from your fans is essentially, it's that they're doing it too much and they're over the top, they're not doing it well. And then I ask them to cite examples, and they typically cite examples of times when it's done well, or not over the top, or actually fairly fucking subtle, or kind of unnecessary at all. Oh yeah, and we were on this, and yeah, again, lots of people want to scream that you know, they do the social messaging too much and it's over the top, and most of the examples they cite are things where they don't do it too much. Because I want to stress, there are times where they do changes for social messaging and stuff like that that I think doesn't work within the story. I think it is unnecessary. But the fact is that as the vast minority of situations. And the fact is, people like Critical Drinker and chuds like him scream when it's just like in a trailer. Before we even know anything about the actual show or movie or anything, they're screaming about it. Just because, like, woman has a badass scene in a trailer or something like that. And that's how you know they're completely dishonest, because they'll scream about how woke something is, and then when it actually comes out, they'll continue screaming about how woke it is, and the actual wokeness of it doesn't even mean anything at that point. Because woke has become such a general term. It just means not Nazi at this point. And I also want to stress, I'm sure I'll get critical drinker fans who are like, he hates using the word woke. He doesn't use woke. No. In place of woke, he uses the message.
But wait, there's a problem brewing, because when the game finally releases, it turns out that all of Honeyed Infant's changes weren't quite as popular as the terrified echo chamber planning sessions predicted. Sales are cratering, active users...
Wow. So they've had one dud. They've had a series of games that they consulted on that they have been successful and well-loved games, and one dud. It's almost like if you keep on working and putting stuff out, eventually you'll hit a dud. And it will. I mean, that's almost how art works.
Users are plummeting, and people are demanding refunds in their thousands. All that extra revenue you were banking on has failed to materialise. It's almost as if people never wanted this stuff in the first place.
Am I so out of touch? No.
Yeah, exactly, Byron. It's one game. One game that nobody really likes. I don't know leftists who really like the game. And again, it's like, chuds are acting like, it's a leftist game, that's why it sucks. But it's like, well, leftists hate it too, so what the it's almost like fucking Madam Web. They were screaming about how woke Madam Web was, and it's like, nobody likes that movie. Nobody likes this game either. So, like, your argument is really weak sauce.
The children who are wrong.
And not only are gamers up in arms about it, but they've also begun tracking other games that Honeyed Infant have worked on, and they've begun to notice a pattern. Almost everything they touch ends up being a worse product because of their input. But what to do?
Really? Because your only citation so far is Justice League Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. And you haven't even brought up any examples of something they've done specifically to this game to make it a worse product. Just that it's a bad game, which, to my understanding, most people would agree with you with. Citation needed?
Do they allow it to blow over and get back to work? Do they reassess their philosophy on what customers want from their entertainment and try to...
Based on one game, I mean, maybe you could do some reassessment, but, like, there's not a whole lot you can take from one game. Kind of see what the overall reaction is. And that's actually why it gets annoying for a lot of people, because there will be a reaction to these games. And it's kind of important that you filter out the chud reaction, because there are genuine criticisms that are worth, like, looking at and reassessing your art. And then there is the chud reaction that sometimes can be hidden like that. But you gotta ignore it. You gotta filter it out. And when the chuds start getting really loud and obnoxious, it starts getting impossible to filter it out, so you just start ignoring all of it, and that's why it gets annoying. That's why you guys grifting on this shit gets really fucking annoying, because lots of this stuff, there are genuine critiques that could be made, but instead you guys are just so fucking on the grift, making your fucking YouTube ad revenue dollars on bullshit, that, like, the honest critiques get filtered out through fucking the algorithm of chuddery and bullshit, and it gets really fucking frustrating. I mean, a key example of this, real quick, would be like Velma. There are genuine fucking critiques people made of Velma, but it's impossible to fucking tell because the chud circuit was so fucking on top of that show. They were just screaming woke every 2 seconds. It became impossible to really, like, understand any of the fucking critiques, because they all just came from fucking big dude assholes.
Better work in future? No, of course not. What they do instead is start an active campaign to silence and censor anyone who speaks out about them, which in turn fans the...
Yes, because... Well, first of all, you're fucking citing bounding into comics. Bounding into Christian fascism is your primary source for this one. Classy. Classy move, critical drinker. Great work. Classy. But they start silencing anybody who... Yes. And you want to know why? Because you guys do harassment campaigns. Insane harassment campaigns. Fun fact, like, I get lots of your harassment campaigns. It's fun. It's fun. But I know 100% what they're going through, and I know, like, actually, they're probably going through worse than what I usually get, but, you know, I get some big ones, too. And you just gotta start blocking these people and silencing them. Yes, silencing them because their opinions are less than worthless. Most of these people are just fucking trolls, dishonest trolls. It doesn't matter what you say or how you explain stuff to them, because they'll always just come back to woke or whatever. They'll just do circular logic, and it gets frustrating and pointless. And yes, you silence those people, because their opinions are fucking worthless. And by those people, I mean you, Critical Drinker. I'm not excluding you.
Flames of controversy and attracts even more attention to the problem that they created. Because truly, if there's one strategy that always works in business, it's going to war with your own customer base. Just ask Disney.
No. It's not really their customer base, because a lot of these people don't even buy the fucking game. They just follow whatever chuds like you say, Critical Drinker. Although I'm pretty sure well, I don't know if you buy the games, but I'm pretty sure you watch the movies and stuff like that, and then you just say whatever's algorithmically advantageous for you. And I like this because, hey, Disney annual net income from continuing operations. It's weird how they tanked in 2020 and then have been slowly rising up from 2020. That's interesting, Critical Drinker. Do you think this is, you have a couple options here. So is this A, wokeness? Because as we all know, 2020 is when the wokeness wave hit, and, like, theaters literally shut down to do wokeness. Or B, the pandemic. Byron, what, do you think it's COVID? Because we all remember when all movie theaters shut down for wokeness. They shut down because they weren't woke enough, and they need to shut down to reassess their wokeness. We all remember that, right? That was the thing. They didn't shut down for COVID, right? No. This is such dishonesty. Trying to act like this has anything to do with, like, political messaging. This is literally a chart showing the effects of COVID. That's it. This is worthless.
But now the truth is out, and what started out as a minor problem has turned into a national scandal that everyone on the internet is talking about, and suddenly there's talks of
Chuds on the internet are talking about it. Not everybody remotely.
Boycotts and protests and mass layoffs, and gamers everywhere are actively rebelling against the message and anything that companies like Honey didn't.
The message. Again, you're acting like this is a wave of people going against wokeness or the message. It's one game that people didn't like. One fucking game. Yes, there are games that people don't like that will get released. That is a thing that will happen. Congratulations. I mean, they act like this is a big victory. They act like Madam Web was a big fucking victory. It's like, nobody, like, those are just bad, like, products. They're bad, bad video game, bad movie. It wasn't wokeness that tanked them. It was just bad. Like, come on, man.
Infant have touched. And now you're probably wishing that you'd run a tighter ship, spent your money more wisely, and hired actual talented people to work on your games instead of activists masquerading as industry consultants.
You're ignoring the fact that they actually have a track record of making, of consulting on really good games, and now they have one that's a dud. It seems like still a fairly good track record overall.
But hey, it's not like any of this stuff could actually happen for real. Could it? Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Such the goddamn grifter. And Critical Drinker is a tricky one. Because a lot of his fans will defend him, and a lot of people who aren't like complete, like, in the sauce will defend him as well without realizing that he is pretty much just pushing garbage. So, like, a lot of his movie reviews on his main channel are literally just, like, movie reviews. Like, a couple of these you can tell. But, like, Dune 2, it looks like he gave a good review. Iron Claw, he gave a good review, too. I've seen both those movies. I will agree with him. Those were excellent movies. Then, he did a review panning Madam Web, and I'll even give him a pass on that one because Madam Web sucks. I'm sure his takes on it aren't great, but like it was not a good movie. And then Argyle kind of sucks. Listen, I kind of enjoyed Argyle, but like it had serious fucking issues. So, and I know most people didn't like it, so I mean, again, that's probably a totally honest review. But then he did a review of Reacher, and I can guarantee you that was recently because a lot of the chuds were acting like Reacher was some sort of anti-woke show. And I already did a video talking about how no. I mean, I haven't seen Reacher, but like they want to like take the lead actor, Alan Richson, and talk about how he's like an anti-woke hero or something, when he absolutely is not. He is a Christian, true, but he is, in a lot of his takes, pretty fucking progressive politically. And frankly, pretty fucking based. So, it was so weird when the chuds tried to own him, and it's like, no, absolutely not. But the fact is, my point overall is that a lot of these videos on his main channel, if you don't know any better, you're just going to dive in and be like, oh yeah, it's just, him just doing movie reviews. Genuine, totally normal movie reviews. Which is why, let me go ahead and, oh, well, this is interesting. I wanted to pull up his second channel, but he doesn't even link his second channel on his main channel. That is interesting. Oh, I see. See my second channel, Critical Drinker Live, for extra content and live streams. It's actually not called Critical Drinker Live, but hold on. Let me go ahead and. So this is his second channel, and in case you're wondering, this is where you're gonna get pretty much all the chud takes. This is where he'll talk to a lot of chuds, but like essentially, if you're looking for the cringier takes, a lot of it's gonna be here on his live streams. I guarantee you, we will get like a lot of people like to say, oh, he doesn't like to say woke. I guarantee you. Hold on. Let's see how often he says woke during a live stream.
If I thought this game was like woke as fuck, or more like Silent Hill, the woke message. Woke 1. Extremes will fade while the rest is normalized. Been happening since the 60s. Woke never truly fails, it just becomes normal. Mission accomplished. House of Usher? Like, is that woke?
They said House of Usher was woke?
Example of something that's woke, but it's like seen as normal.
That's Critical Drinker. Using the word woke plenty of times.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.